Vegas 109 Roman Dolidze taking on Anthony Hernandez. This is the full card predictions. We're going to take a look at each fight one by one, give you guys my picks. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get this video underway. First fight of the night, we got Gabriela Fernandez taking on Julia Stolieranko. I'm going with Gabriela Fernandez. Look, Julia Stolieranko, I really don't rate her high at all. I mean, look at the record. She's 11-8-1. Last loss coming to Louisiana, Carolina. Got knocked out about a year and a half ago. Gabriela Fernandez, if you guys are not familiar, she put a brief stop to the hype train of Kong Wang getting the what was it? She sat her down with like a straight right, and then got a sub. In the very first round, I believe it was first or second round submission. Kong Wang, she bounced back, got another W. But here we are with Gabriela Fernandez. I am picking her to win. I think her striking is a lot better. Does have decent power with her shots. Just like I said, she sat down Kong Wang. I think she could sit down Julia Stolieranko. Stolieranko's grappling is what she's best at, but I don't see her being able to outmuscle, take down Gabriela Fernandez and control her. I definitely see Gabriela being a much stronger fighter, being able to put her, put Julia on her back if she wants to take the fight there. But I really think she could finish Julia Stolieranko on the feet if she chooses to. Stolieranko's striking is pretty below average. That's the, politically correct thing I'll say here. So I do believe Fernandez is live for a finish. Will I go out and hammer it? Probably not. But I do believe she can, and she will win this fight. Heavy favorite, -400, +310 on the odds. I do expect Gabriela Fernandez to win, but these odds, man, this card is littered with a lot of bad lines, and seeing Gabriela Fernandez at a -400 definitely does not make me want to go out and bet on her. So Gabriela Fernandez to get the first fight of the night rolling. Let's get it going with the next fight up. We got the fellas Uros Medic, the doctor, taking on Gilbert Urbina. Initially, on paper, I wanted to pick Medic, but I just can't. Medic, he is a pretty solid striker from range, right? But if you guys aren't familiar, Medic was previously fighting at 155. I believe his last... I think Soriano was the first 70 fight, or maybe it was a Tim Means fight. Tim Means, Metebek. I feel like that fight was short notice. Oh, I swear, Menace was fighting at 55. Maybe I'm tripping. Yeah, he was fighting at 55 for a second. Moved up to 170. Got the win over Matthew Semmelsberger, which does not age well. Subbed to Metebek Orlabai. Win over Tim Means. Punali Soriano put him out as well. Now he's fighting Gilbert Urbina. Urbina, 7-3, he's still young. 29 isn't, super young, but he's younger than Uros Medic. 7-3, 10-3. I like Urbina to win this fight, man. Urbina is also the larger fighter. He's the natural welterweight. Does have losses to Brian Battle on the Ultimate Fighter. Lost to Sean Brady 7 years ago, call it now. But these losses are aging pretty well. And then lost to Charles Radke, who is a much better pocket fighter, which is what Uros Medic is not. Uros Medic likes to pick you apart from distance, but he's not going to be able to do that with this big reach and height disadvantage. Urbina, I feel as though he can definitely put a pace on Uros Medic, get the grappling going. I could definitely see him, threaten to get a submission. His gas tank is pretty good. I think if he's able to stay on the pressure, I definitely think he can, get a sneaky submission on Uros Medic. And he's a pretty big underdog, +285, -350 for Uros Medic. I don't think Uros Medic should be looking like I don't think he's going to look like a -350 favorite against Gilbert Urbina. I think Urbina is definitely, live to definitely make this a fight. The odds will make you think Medic is supposed to run him over, but I definitely don't see that happening. I think Urbina can smother him. Medic, like I said, he likes to be a technical kickboxer, but he's not going to be allowed that space to, pick his shots, stay on the outside of the octagon. We're in the Apex, which is a smaller octagon if you aren't aware. So I definitely see Urbina being up in Medic's grill, making it a dirty type of fight, wearing on him. And I think, he could possibly pull off a submission here. If not, just get a decision win with the pressure and the grappling, taking him down constantly, not giving Medic room to get his striking going. So I'm going to go with the underdog, Gilbert Urbina, pretty big underdog this week. And, looking back at last week's card, I believe it was the entire prelims, all of the favorites won. But I think, this card, looking at the odds, I definitely think there's some, live underdogs. So give me Gilbert Urbina to get the first underdog win of the night. Next up, we got Jocelyn Edwards taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. I'm going with Jocelyn Edwards. She's a, pretty wide favorite as well. Minus 250, plus 205 on the line. I think Jocelyn Edwards could definitely win this fight however she chooses to. Can she, pick her shots against Priscilla Cachoeira? Yes. Priscilla is primarily a brawler who lacks, grappling defense. We saw in these two losses against Jasmine Jaslovicius, she got finished a year and a half ago, and then Miranda Maverick also submitted her 2 years ago. Last fight out for Priscilla, she got the knockout on Josiane Nunes. I actually picked Nunes to win that fight, but she decided to not use her fight IQ and fell for the one shot that Priscilla Cachoeira is actually good at, which is that sneaky uppercut. But I don't see her being able to pull that off against the much larger, longer Jocelyn Edwards, who is pretty slick on the feet, has definitely been improving her grappling. I know she has this loss to Eileen Perez about a year ago, but there were some, scrambles where Jocelyn Edwards ended up on top. So that's definitely a positive to take away from that fight. She got the win over Tamir Vidal, where she got the submission, and then she also got this knockout over Chelsea Chandler, who has struggled to make 135, who struggled to make, I believe she even struggled to make 145, so a much larger female, and she put her out in the first round on that Kansas City card, if you don't remember, where Malcolm Wellmaker also got that Cameron Simon knockout. Pretty nasty card over there. But yeah, I definitely think Jocelyn Edwards can win this fight however she chooses, like I said, but I will be going with Jocelyn Edwards to win this fight by either submission or decision. So yeah, La Pantera, I think she's moving up in the rankings. She can be a sneaky contender, to watch out for. She's still young, 29, definitely have a lot of potential. I see her, skill set definitely improving over the next few year or three. Give her like 3 years to, really make a title shot. Maybe she could get it done in a year and a half. Who knows? But I definitely like Jocelyn Edwards to win this fight. Next up, Elijah Smith taking on Toshiomi Kazama. I'm going with Elijah Smith. Definitely think Toshiomi Kazama is definitely going to be there for Elijah Smith to choose how he wants to finish him. Kazama is very reckless with his striking. He comes, chin first, throwing a lot of, crazy strikes. He's trying to get you down, but he's just all pressure, no IQ. I think I look at Kazama's approach similar to what Nick Klein was trying to do to Andre Puliev. Come out the gates like a bat out of hell, take him down, try to get, the grappling going, and then ultimately gas out in the second round and get finished. So I could definitely see Elijah Smith doing the exact same thing with his. He's pretty precise in the boxing. He's got like a real calm, controlled pace about him. So I could definitely see him being able to pick his shots better than Kazama. He's more accurate than Kazama. Yeah, I think, he's got a pretty solid wrestling background to him too. I don't see Kazama being able to take him down. And if he does, I'm pretty sure Elijah Smith will be able to get back to his feet within a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Scrambling with Kazama. Kazama doesn't have the best control. And if you go through his record, knockout 2 years ago to Garrett Armfield, leaving his chin out. Rinya Nakamura got him, knocked him out. And I believe that was for the Road to UFC finale. And then, he's got this win over, I'm not even going to try, pronounce his name, Karamawali. We'll just leave it at that. And then 3 and a half years ago, or 3 years ago, losing by knockout to Shoji. Elijah Smith he's a pretty good, up and coming young prospect, Dana White Contender Series guy that I believe he should be able to get a finish over Toshiomi KAZAMA in this fight. So give me Smith inside the distance, minus 515, plus 370. Lines, like I said, are absolutely disgusting. I'm trying to find what I'm going to do for the lock of the week, but I got a couple more days to plot on it. But yeah, it's looking pretty rough. Next fight, we going up to light heavyweight. We got Julius Juicebox Walker taking on Rafael CERQUEIRA. I'm going with Julius Walker, but I will say this is going to be a nasty fight. Both of these guys, you know, pretty reckless in the striking. In the striking. Walker, he is coming off that three round split decision loss to Alonzo Menifield, where I did pick him to win. But ultimately, you know, he was selling out for that takedown. And Alonzo Menifield, if you aren't familiar, he's a pretty stocked guy. So he was able to defend, you know, the takedown attempts off of pure muscle alone. Julius also did take that fight on short notice, but I don't think he should have that issue with the CERQUEIRA, who's much thinner. I believe, Walker's also larger, has a 2-inch reach advantage. CERQUEIRA, he's a solid striker, but if you really go through his record, he was fighting a lot of guys over in Brazil, and that market that he was actually in was pretty, you know, low level as far as competition goes. Julius Walker, he was making, like I said, short notice debut against Alonzo Menifield. But if you go through and watch, you know, his, not amateur fights, but the fights before he got to the UFC, you know, you could definitely see the slight improvements to his game. He likes to he likes to take guys down and do the dirty work on the mat. So I do believe he is live for like a ground and pound finish or maybe a submission over Rafael CERQUEIRA, who is also coming off of 2 knockout losses to Ibo Aslan, who has not turned out to be the best, you know, young light heavyweight that a lot of people thought he was. Because I kind of fell for the gag as well. I took Aslan to beat. Damn, I'm drawing a blank. The guy that he just lost to Modestus. Knocked out Khalil Roundtree. I can't think of his name. But Aslan lost to him. And then Modestus Bukakis knocked out Rafael CERQUEIRA. So yeah, I believe that was the Seattle card, if I'm not mistaken, too. But yeah, 2 bad knockout losses for Rafael CERQUEIRA. I definitely see a third one coming. And he'll probably be getting, you know, his walking papers handed to him off of that. So give me Julius Walker to get a finish in this one. But like I said, both of these guys, they strike, you know, pretty recklessly. Chins are up in the air, so it could get a little freaky for both of them. But I'll probably be betting the under. So yeah, minus 605 on Julius Walker, plus 455 on Rafael CERQUEIRA. I'm going with Juicebox to get it done inside the distance. Next up, opening up the main card. If you haven't already, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. We got ya boy Eryk taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. I'm going with CLD. Now, I want to say CLD should get a knockout here, but it honestly depends on what type of CLD we get. Yes, the Puyaev win was clean, but I feel as though he was just taking his time. Maybe he was, you know, getting his confidence back off of this loss to Gregory Rodriguez, where he definitely got, you know, out-muscled and not necessarily outstruck, but RoboCop was just bullying him in there. So maybe that was just like, you know, I need to just, you know, get my feet back under me type of performance, where he ultimately did his thing. Third round, he was live for the finish. Did have Puyaev rocked momentarily towards the end of the fight, but like I said, he survived, and we just saw what Puyaev is capable of doing. So, but I do think he can knock out Eryk. Eryk, he's a solid veteran. I mean, he's not great at anything, honestly. I mean, he's a normal striker. I can't even really break down his style for you. I mean, he has some solid boxing. His low kicks are okay. He's coming off of this, you know, this TKO win over Chris Weidman, which is why I think they're giving him CLD. But I know what the UFC is trying to do. They're trying to, you know, make Eryk feel as though he's moving up in competition, but they're also trying to set up CLD with should be a knockout highlight reel finish for him to get his name back in the good graces of the people. But I think he should get the knockout. he should get a knockout here. He's a cleaner, more technical kickboxer. His takedown defense has been improving. At least it did, in this Puya fight. He was really just on the offensive the entire fight. I didn't really see much coming back from Puya, but he should find the knockout. It's just, does he do it? What type of CLD do we get? Maybe, he got his feet under him with this win. Maybe he does come out and try to get, a finish. He knocked out Dennis Tululin, knocked out Claudio Ribeiro, and then ultimately lost to RoboCop. The win over Puya, as of right now, it's aging, pretty well. Eric Anders, like I said, Chris Weidman TKO, and then he won against Jamie Pickett, who isn't, I don't even think Jamie Pickett is in the UFC anymore. Lost to Marc-Andre Barrios, brawl. Kyle Dawkins knockout. Kyle Dawkins is also out of the UFC. And then Jun Young Park, the Iron Turtle 3 years ago, split decision. But I'm going to go with CLD decision or knockout, probably like second or third round. Minus 575, plus 425 for Eric Anders. CLD should win this fight. He should win it by finish as well. Next up, we got Miles Chapo John taking on Gene Matsumoto. I'm going with Matsumoto. I really like this kid. I know he lost to Rob Font last time out, but he put it on Rob Font. It wasn't an easy fight. I feel as though, Rob Font really won the fight off of that sneaky little, fake glove touch and then threw a jab right off of it. He rocked Gene with that jab. He caught him by surprise, but the fight was pretty close. It was definitely, wasn't it a split decision? Yeah, it was a split decision. So the fight was actually really, really close. Gene Matsumoto had a lot of, successful moments in the striking. Had his rhythm going. He's a pretty good young up and coming guy. And, he's, they got him at a minus 285 favorite, which is what he should be. He'll probably, swell a lot larger closer to fight night, but I think he's live for a finish, man. Brad Katona, the decision, that was a really good fight. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch that back. Finished Dan Arghetto with submission, guillotine, and then Dana White Contender Series to ultimately get his contract. Miles Johns, if you aren't familiar, he's had this win over Dan Arghetto overturned to a no contest because he popped hot for, I think it was either testosterone or Turinabol, something started with a T. Then he came back, had a win over Cody Gibson, but he looked okay. He looked okay. That's the best I could say about it. Douglas Silva, the Andrade, older gentleman, and then his loss over Felipe Lima, who's also a young up-and-coming prospect. Matsumoto, like I said, clean striking, has knockout power. The grappling is pretty good, has a finish ability, has a higher level of competition, I would say, at this point in both of these guys' careers. Has the reach advantage with the straight punches against Miles Johns, who's a short, stocky guy who likes to explode with everything, load up on everything. I feel as though Gene Matsumoto should be able to beat him to the punch and, probably crack Miles Johns. I think he could definitely knock him out. Like I said, Johns, he loads up a lot, looks to wrestle and bully his opponents with the clinch pressure as well, but I don't see him being able to do that against Gene Matsumoto. I feel as though Matsumoto would probably be the stronger guy. I feel as though, his frame doesn't look like he'll be stronger, but I feel as though in the cage he will. The only way I see Miles Johns being successful is if he makes his fight, really dirty. But even that, I could see Matsumoto taking advantage of him. He tries to clinch up, drops down on something, and maybe takes him down and finishes him on the mat. Matsumoto's slick pretty much everywhere. I thought his nickname was like the Jaguar or something like that. Maybe he removed it, but I'm going with Gene Matsumoto. I think he could get it inside the distance, and that's what I'm rolling with. So give me Gene Matsumoto inside the distance. Next fight up, we got Andre Touchy Philly versus Christian C-Rod Rodriguez. I'm going with Andre Philly, man. I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with the UFC vet. I know he's 35, but he's still in his prime pretty much. The boxing, I rate Andre Philly much better. C-Rod, he is a decent striker, but I feel as though he only looks good against guys that are, either making their UFC debut or have one fight in the UFC. Every time C-Rod has taken a step up in competition, whether it be like a veteran or someone who's been in the UFC for a little bit of time, he lost. You see here, he got subbed up by Julian Erosa. Last time out, he lost to Melquizael Acosta. Now, both of these guys are coming off of losses to Melky, and Andre Fili did get subbed up. But if you look at the fight, Andre Fili made a mistake and was shooting for a takedown. A takedown. Like I said he would. I predicted this fight perfectly. I said Andre Fili's going to shoot for a takedown and get his neck caught in a gilly. And that's what happened with Melquizael Acosta. Very first round submission. Now with C-Rod, I said Melky will either find the submission on the mat or it's going to be a back and forth kickboxing type of fight. Now how the fight played out, C-Rod did have success with his, I believe it was an outside trip, kept getting Costa down, but Costa was, either popping back up to his feet or reversing a lot of the grappling positions, and then they were striking on the feet, and Melquizael Costa got the better of him there. So Christian, was in the fight a lot longer with Melky and took a lot more damage than Andre Fili, who just got subbed up in the first round. So if there's a Fili and Costa were to have a striking match, it would be a little more back and forth. I don't know. I see. I think it would be a little bit more back and forth because Fili is still fast. Maybe doesn't have the KO power, but his striking is pretty fast, and I do think he should be able to touch up C-Rod in this matchup and give him another UFC vet loss. C-Rod, like I said, his only wins are against debut guys. Cameron Simon, what is his I believe that was his bantamweight. Well, it's funny with C-Rod, man, because he's naturally a bantamweight who just wasn't able to make weight, so now he moved up to featherweight. So he's just like a overblown bantamweight. You know what I'm saying? He's not naturally a featherweight. Win over Isaac Dalgarian, which was slightly a robbery. Dalgarian definitely, he gassed out later in the fight. I believe it was like 3 minutes into the second round. But he had C-Rod hurt in that first round, definitely was controlling him. And then C-Rod was able to, outlast him. But when I look at C-Rod, I mean, he has a pretty good wrestling base. Striking is okay. Like I said, does have a little bit of power, but nothing that, should deter Andre Fili from striking with him. I think what C-Rod is going to need to do is make this fight dirty, put him up against the cage, and, shoot a lot of takedowns, make it dirty, clinch a lot, do some work in there, maybe utilize the trips. Maybe he has some success like he did against Melky Costa. But I think Andre Fili should pull away with the win. I think he's going to, make this fight more of a stick and move type of fight. Maybe we see Touchy Fili tap into what he, likes to do, a little bit of showboat and his head movement is another reason why I like him in this fight too. I don't feel as though C-Rod's going to be able to land anything consequential and set up the takedown off of it. He has pretty good footwork. Yes, we're in a smaller octagon, but I feel as though Fili could still make do with what he has in this fight against the C-Rod, who is pretty one-dimensional. I have to say, I don't think C-Rod has a finish in the UFC. Does he have a finish in the UFC? Joshua Weems, okay. Yeah, beat Raul Rosas, like I said. He's just a prospect killer, man. Every time he took a step up in competition, he lost. Jonathan Pierce, Julian Erosa, Melquizael Costa. I feel as though he should get another loss here to Andre Fili. So I'm going with underdog plus 180-ish on Andre Fili, minus 215 for C-Rod. I get it with the wrestling capabilities, but I'm going with Touchy Fili. Next up to the featured fight of the night, we got Yasmin Lucindo taking on Angela Overkill Hill. This fight has split decision written all over it if you're unaware. Angela Hill is like the split decision. She's not the queen of it because she loses a lot of her split decisions. But I believe this was the first split decision that she won against Katlyn Souza, which was arguably a robbery. But I'm gonna go with Yasmin Lucindo. I feel as though she should be able to do a lot more. Coming off of this loss, she's sitting at minus 185. But I feel as though that's because of how bad she looked in this Amanda Lemos fight. But the only reason why I feel as though this line is what it is because, like I said, how she looked in the Lemos fight, but Angela Hill doesn't have the power that Amanda Lemos did, and that's why I feel as though Lucindo looked like she did. She was very timid in the striking, was unable to get the grappling going, got reversed, got taken down herself, got put on her back a few times. Angela Hill, yes, she's gonna try and get the pressure going, but I feel as though Yasmin Lucindo, who's a quicker striker, does have some pop on her shots. I feel as though she could definitely keep the bicycle flowing and putting Angela up against the cage herself, and utilize that leg kick, utilize the speed on the kick. She's a pretty quick kicker. Her hand speed is pretty good too. It's gonna be a split decision either way. I can just definitely see it coming. Um, Angela's good, man, but picking her to win is just dicey. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go with Lucindo. I'm not super confident, but I feel as though she should get a win here. This is a fight that she should win. Angela Hill's talking about with a win over Lucindo. She's close to a title shot. Not at all. Not at all. And Lucindo with a win, she's not close to a title shot either. I don't even know what you would do next for whoever wins this fight, but I think Lucindo should get it done. Does have a slight reach advantage, so I could definitely see her being able to, beat Angela Hill to the punches a lot, and she should be able to fight off the takedowns. It's just, is her confidence shot off of this Amanda Lemos loss? You know what I'm saying? I would like to see how she bounces back before seeing the bounce back fight and having to pick on it. But I'm gonna go with Lucindo. I think she does bounce back and get a win over Angela Hill. It's gonna be gritty though, so give me Lucindo by split decision. Next up to the co-main event of the evening, we got Steve Astro Boy ERCEG taking on O'Day, the Jamaican sensation Osbourne. I'm going with Steve ERCEG to win this fight by knockout. O'Day Osbourne is capable of finding a shot on Steve ERCEG, but ERCEG, he's pretty slick, man. I know he's coming off of these 3 losses, but if you really break him down, it's a razor thin loss with one mistake causing that to Alexandre Pantoja, where he gave up a takedown in the very last round and was unable to get back to his feet. He was doing pretty good throughout the fight. He was doing really good throughout the fight. Then he got knocked out, flash knockout to Kai Kara-France. Kara-France got the title shot, and we saw how that went. Both of their performances against Pantoja are literally night and day. And then a loss to Brandon Moreno. I felt as though that fight was a lot closer than a lot of people had it. I thought ERCEG was capable of winning that fight had it been a different set of judges, but that's neither here nor there. So I got 2 champions and a title contender versus O'Day Osbourne, who's coming off of a win over Luis Garule, which I definitely faded him in that fight, but a debut guy. Lost to Ronaldo Rodriguez on the Sphere card. Lost to Rafael Filio, by submission a year and a half ago, and then a loss to Asu Amabayev 2 years ago. I think ERCEG is live to knock him out. Also, O'Day Osbourne coming in on short notice. If you aren't aware, Steve ERCEG was supposed to fight Hung Sung Park, who just got subbed up by Tatsuda Taira last week with, a little bit of shakeup in the matchmaking. I'm trying to remember why that happened. Who got Taira was supposed to fight. Who the hell was Taira supposed to fight? Damn, I'm drawing a blank. I have it on my phone. Tatsuda Taira was supposed to fight. Am I having a blank? because it got canceled. Forgive me, I'm trying to get it right. I should just go. Tyra was supposed to fight. I got it right here. Oh yeah, Amir Al-Bazzi. Damn, I almost forgot about that guy. That's why. But yeah, ERCEG should win this fight by knockout. Like I said, Ode is short notice replacement. Need to see what that weight cut is gonna look like. Ode does have fast hands, decent combinations. You know, that knockout over Luis Guerrero definitely looked good. Caught him picture perfect with the left hand. He does have decent grappling, but I don't see him having success over ERCEG. If it was ERCEG's, you know, uh, footwork would definitely keep him out of the range of the shot. I think he'll be able to time it too. And ERCEG has some pretty good knees too. I definitely think he could time a knee on Ode shooting from halfway across the octagon. I don't know what his cardio looks like either. So that's another, uh, amber flag, we'll call it, because we haven't seen the weight cut or anything yet. I haven't seen him at his media day either. So Steve ERCEG, like I said, three fight losing streak, but 2 of them are champions. 1 flash knockout to Kai out of France. Striking is clean, definitely has finishing power. Knockout over a match now right before his title shot. Alexandre Costa fight definitely has some flashes, some power in that. He's preparing for a much better striker, I would have to say. Hong Sung Park, I rate him a lot higher than Ode Osbourne. Hong Sung Park's, boxing is a lot cleaner. Definitely has the boxing, the body combinations that are pretty tough too. And his grappling capabilities are way better than Ode Osbourne. So ERCEG was preparing for a much better fighter. So it feels as though he should be able to, run through Ode Osbourne here. I do think he's live for a knockout within the first 7.5 minutes and get him back in the good graces of the UFC fans. I don't think if he loses Ode Osbourne, he could be cut. I'll be honest. Maybe not, but like, okay, Steve, what's going on? He went on a spectacular run and then 4 in a row, and the 4th one's the Ode. Gets a little fishy there. I don't think he would get cut, but he better, run through Ode Osbourne like a hot knife through butter in this matchup because 4 in a row would definitely be ugly. He could definitely come back from it, but the matchmaking gonna get real funny, brother. So give me Steve ERCEG to win this fight by knockout. And if it's anything but a finish, might be some question marks around Astro Boy moving forward. Next up in the main event of the evening, if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We got Roman the Caucasian Dolidze, that's a crazy nickname, versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I'm going with Fluffy to win this fight by a late submission or decision. I think, Fluffy is the better grappler. The transition speed is there. His boxing is way better. His striking is better than Dolidze. I don't see him having gas issues at all. Roman Dolidze, when the fight gets a little longer, his output is definitely is significantly lower than Anthony Hernandez. We saw Hernandez being able to, do whatever he wanted to Michel Pereira. Now, Pereira and Roman Dolidze are completely 2 different fighters, but they both have the same muscular build, I'll say. Pereira was, all gas first round and ultimately gassed out within, I believe he got finished in the 3rd round. Dolidze, he can manage his gas tank, but how is he going to manage it with Anthony Hernandez on him like white on rice with the takedown attempts, getting on his back, transitioning, side control, full guard, full mount? What's it going to look like then? Trying to get back to his feet, because I definitely see Roman getting put in some compromised situations. Maybe he doesn't get taken down left and right, but I definitely see him. Maybe Roman secures a takedown and then he gets reversed. Now Anthony Hernandez is, backpacking him for half of a round. Then he has to come back and, do it all over again. I don't know what he's going to look like. I definitely see him sucking wind in rounds, 3, 4, and 5, and that's where the submission, the late fight submission comes into play for Fluffy. Fluffy, man, he's tough. I like him. I would definitely want him to win. For this division, because if a Roman Dolidze wins and he's, I mean, what would you give him next? Like a Sean, he would have to fight like a Sean Strickland, a probably like the loser of Kaio versus Imavov. Is he still out there? But Roman Dolidze versus those guys, it doesn't really, you know, sell much. Granted, Anthony Hernandez isn't that big of a name either, but he's more marketable, I would have to say, than a Roman Dolidze. Fluffy, he's got some charisma on the mic sometimes too. So he's got this win over Brendan Allen where he was just, perfecting everything that Brendan Allen wanted to do. Allen wanted to fight just like Fluffy. I believe that fight was a rematch as well, but Fluffy was able to capitalize on the missed positions that Brendan Allen had and was on his back, threatening submissions, got the boxing going, went over Michelle Pieta, blitzed him, honestly. And then Kopylov, rear naked choke. Emin Shabazian knockout. Mark Andrew, he's on a crazy run, bro. I think he won like 7 fights in a row. And we got Roman Dolidze come on this 3-fight win streak. Marvin Vittori last time out in a main event. But damn, that was 4 months ago already. Feels like it was just the other day where we bet on that fight. Kevin Holland, broke his ribs, and then the win over Anthony Smith. I think Hernandez is, like I said, live for a late fight submission or to win this fight by decision. So I'm going with Fluffy to win this main event for UFC Vegas 109, which I can, if you guys can't tell, I'm super ecstatic about. Definitely looking at, last week's card on paper, a lot of people did not think it would perform how it did. I knew it would because I liked a lot of the fighters that were on the card, and it was a really good card in retrospect. But this card, man, a lot of lopsided lines. The fights, I think there's probably like 3 fights that should be entertaining. It'll probably be the Andre Philly C-Rod fight, the Matsumoto Miles Johns fight, and I'll say Jocelyn Edwards, Priscilla Cachoeira will probably give us some entertainment too, and probably Elijah Smith getting a finish. So, I mean, it's okay on paper, man, but ultimately this card is not it. But that is what I got for the full card predictions. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you soon for Makai's Money Making Picks, where I have to choose somebody on this card or something on this card with these ugly lines to be the lock of the week. And it's definitely going to be a struggle. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Later.